Hi, it's Sarah, and welcome to your March 2023 video update about what is going on with my writing. I have three things I want to talk to you about. First is Patreon, second are the audiobook situation, and third is what's going on with the books in the 21st Century Austen series and what you can expect moving forward, timing-wise at least. Let's start with Patreon. Sweeten Up Ginny Darcy's Patreon has begun. This is exclusive early access to book 6 in the 21st Century Austen series. 3 tiers, reader, you get 2 chapters a month for the next 9 months. And then after that, we're going to talk about what comes beyond Sweeten Up Ginny Darcy. This is not a meet cute. This is a meet what the fuck did I just say kind of story. Like, it's Pride and Prejudice, it's gender swapped, it's modernized, there's candy, there's marshmallows, there's possibly ice cream, there's town politics. The Bennets you met in Unraveling Carrie Woodhouse, Ginny Darcy you would have met in Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging. So you can read 2 chapters a month, and then the fan tier will get a bonus story this month. It will be What Happened to Jorge after Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging. Because I'm ready to redeem him. He was directly inspired by Pedro Pascal's performance of Oberyn Martell in the Game of Thrones show. Like, I love Pedro Pascal, and I was like, let's villainize him. Let's lean into that villainy. And now I want to redeem him because I'm so infatuated with the internet's zaddy. But then now that he, like, everybody's talking about how he was on Buffy, I was like, yes, I do remember that episode. So we're redeeming Jorge, and there's a lot of work that has to be done with that man because he's not that, I mean, he's a psychopath, maybe sociopath, but we're going to dig in. But it's the super fan tier that's going to get to dig in. So the fan tier will get a third week of a story or a character profile or bonus content, additional things that they get to engage with. And then the super fan tier is actually going to be making decisions. We're going to talk about Citation Needed, the 7th book in the series, the 8th book, what I'm calling Tilney's Haunted Farm, which will be Northanger Abbey again. We're going to talk about Lecoq and what's going on there and how we can leverage it. We're going to talk redeeming Jorge. We're going to talk a lot about redeeming Jorge because he needs so much work. We're also going to talk about bonus content that isn't in the series, but is romance. For example, I've been invited to write a Hanukkah holiday story around a Jane Austen frame, I think is the best way to put it. It's a frame. It's an annual anthology that they put out for Christmas. And I was invited to participate. And I said, only if I can do Hanukkah. And I got the big thumbs up for that. And then I said, also, it's going to be Persuasion. And then I also got a second thumbs up for that because so many of them are Pride and Prejudice. And I love Pride and Prejudice. I am Mr. Darcy. So I am not completely Mr. Darcy, but I'm enough of a Mr. Darcy to know I'm Mr. Darcy. So we're going to lean into that. So the super fan tier is going to be the ones who help make decisions and read that before I submit it in July. And I'm already having fun with it. And I'm really excited. I have a nice little outline that they're going to get to see this month. So Patreon is happening. The first chapter is up for everybody to read, just as a way to sort of whet your palate, see what you're going to get, see what the story is, meet your characters, figure out how Ginny puts her foot in her mouth, because what I say, it's not a meet cute, it's a meet what the fuck did I just say kind of setup. So the thing I love about Ginny is that she doesn't think she's the Mr. Darcy character. She thinks that Will's the Mr. Darcy character. He's the one with social anxiety. He's the introvert. He's the robot. She's fine. She's wonderful, but she's traumatized by Jorge and what he did and the intimacy that he destroyed for her in relationships. So she is not perfect, even though she thinks she is, which I can relate to also. Topic 2, audiobooks. Okay, so last time we talked, I was like, oh, the audiobooks for the first 4 books, they're not perfect, but they're on Audible. they're coming off of Audible. So here's what happened. Somebody took Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging's audiobook, which is still listed under, well, no longer, but was listed under Phi Alpha Pi, the original title, had a lot of problems. I mean, like across the board. The narrator was new. I was exhausted from the process because it was so difficult getting things correct, and I only had so much time and energy to give to it. The reviews were bad. She saw the reviews. She offered to recreate it. She did, and it really wasn't all that much better, but it was fine. But what I have decided to do recently is go through and re-edit that book. And I'm going to bring up some of the next topic a little early. Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging is getting rewritten. It was the odd man out in many ways, primarily in that it was written in third person narration instead of first person. I like you as readers and as the writer being in my main character's head. I like letting them shine through in their own inner monologues, and you don't get that with Lisbeth. And she's snarky. I'm much more observant of what's going on around her than third person narration allowed you to observe about her. In December, I read through the entire book, made some notes, exhausted myself, but was feeling really positive. And then one night I sat down and I started writing. May have indulged in an edible that I shouldn't have indulged in, but was supposed to make me productive. What I've learned is that I should not type when I've had an edible. I should just let the other things happen. But the whole book's getting reconceived, which means the audiobook is going to be utterly outdated. With the other 3 books in that first half of the series, it's not terrible. They are all getting updated. Modern Persuasion already has been. But I felt that the commitment to the audiobooks, the Love and War in Woodhouse Hall audiobook is great. I love Sharmila's narration. Marie's in Love from Northanger Park's Katie was just a delight. Like, I loved working with the other 3 narrators, and I didn't want to disregard all their work because it was important. But as I was talking to Audible about what to do about Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging, I realized it might be time to put some of the money I earned last year into regaining control over those audiobooks. We'll have a different discussion about audiobooks another time, but I have regained the control with a buyout for Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging, Love and War in Woodhouse Hall, and Love from Northanger Park's Katie. I am going to put them on YouTube for you all to read. Love and War in Woodhouse Hall and Love from Northanger Park's Katie are, we'll get to that. They will be outdated, but I've talked to Sharmila, and as soon as I can afford to do it, she is going to re-record the audiobooks, all of them. So I'm really excited. So there is probably going to be the old versions so that you can listen to them, and then an AI version of the new one. And then I'm going to start, we're going to start thinking about how do we get the money? How do I get the money to create these new narrated audiobooks, human narrated audiobooks? I want Sharmila to be the audiobook narrator. She is pricey, but she is good. And I want what I want. So it's going to take some time, but there will be YouTube versions of these audiobooks, and you will be able to buy the audiobooks again. I am researching how to set up my own audiobook store so that you can buy the files and then listen to them however you want on whatever app you want. It might be an Etsy shop. I don't know. Etsy already has the platform, and I control the rights now. So audiobooks are coming. I'm really excited about this because I didn't think I'd ever be able to offer you the whole series on YouTube. So Modern Persuasion will get an AI update first because it's already been edited. Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging will come next. And then the other 2 you can read. They're not going to change for a little while, which brings me to topic 3. What's going on with the next book? Citation Needed is the baby I'm going to be playing with shortly. It is going to go through its first edit. Part of the reason I have note cards all over the place is because it needs an overhaul. I tried writing it the way I wanted it to lay out in the book. And then I was like, you know what? I've got to write the past. It's Persuasion. We need to know the past between Mason and Penny before I can even write their present. And I did, but now I've got to like go through and decide where things are going to fit together, when you need to know historical information about their past and where you need to know and read the present linear narrative. So there's some work that needs to be done there, not an overwhelming amount of work. I have to finish the edit on Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging before I do anything else, because I'm back in Lisbeth's head and I can't go to Penny. They are not the same woman. So you can't just bounce between these. Well, I can't bounce between these characters. So that is kind of on the back burner. I'm halfway through the edit of Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging. It took a lot for me to get back into this. So I'm following the momentum. Sometimes it's really easy. While I was just in Miami, I did like a bunch of chapters, and I just need to get back into that headspace with it. That just so happened this weekend wasn't that weekend for me. The other books, once Pride and Prejudice Pledging is done, I will be focusing on citation needed to get draft 2 ready for beta readers to read through it. This is my goal for the summer, that starting in June, beta readers will get about a month or 2 with the book and will be able to give me feedback. So if you're interested in being a beta reader, let me know. There will be an official way for you to let me know soon. But if you're like, yes, please let me be a beta reader, let me know now. I'll put you on the list. After that, I will go through Love and War in Woodhouse Hall. Here's what I did. I went through with all my fun Post-it notes and I made some changes. Things like what characters should be coming over into citation needed, because this also happens around Lecoq State. I wanted to use the opportunity of the edit to address a little more of like Amelia's emotional status, how she manages to explain to herself that Eric's not into her, that he's into Jenna. But primarily the notes say clean up. I mean, literally it says clean up. Why? Because I'm not always great with dialogue tags and giving you the visual. Like when I get into a book, I'm like, I see who's talking and I just type it out, and I need to do a lot better. And I think I have been doing a lot better with letting you into the character's head and what she is seeing. And then there are like characters that I never gave descriptions for that I want to introduce into the rest of the series. And I'm like, yeah, I need to describe him. I need to describe her. Who is this person again? Especially if we're going to bring them up in citation needed and they're going to play a greater story in the evolution of Lecoq. Ultimately, maybe Jorge's redemption. The next on the list, and this is probably not going to happen till fall, is Love from Northanger Park's Katie. I suspect it needs a similar overhaul to Woodhouse Hall, which is like going through and just expanding. Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging needed the complete overhaul to bring it more in line with the other books in the series. I think anybody who's read it will agree if you've read the other books in the series. It needed an overhaul. And that's the beauty of being an indie author, is that I have the freedom to do that. I don't have to wait for permission from a publisher. So I'm excited about that. That's a lot. I'm exhausted. And I'm going to go back to the conference that I'm on and make some friends with my fellow participants. It's a little harder on a virtual conference, but I will talk to you all next month. I will see you in the newsletter, and watch for more videos. I'm going to be doing more plan with me videos so that you can at least ASMR my planning process sometimes, but then see how I set up planners and journals and things like that. So watch for those. And if you like them, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all the YouTube stuff, the YouTube stuff. See you next month.